I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Sorry if I dropped my mic. My hands are a little sore from applauding in my seat for 6 hours straight. I spent 6 hours in the cinema yesterday with my mom watching the most legendary double feature in perhaps all of cinema history, Barbie and Oppenheimer. In that order, I might add. We walked into Barbie around 3 p.m. and left the theater around 9 p.m. and it was awesome. I started making it a regular thing of going to the cinema for double features around last summer, and it quickly became one of my favorite things to do whenever I have a weekend to myself. There's just nothing like spending a whole day at the movies. And when the Barbenheimer trend was floating around the internet, while it was a joke to many, I immediately wanted to make that happen, and I am so glad that I did. And while double features was not a new thing to me, this one was definitely different, because the longest double feature I had been to previously was around 4 hours, and this one was 6 hours. But I'm happy to report that it went by very quickly. 6 hours honestly felt like 6 minutes, and that's really just a testament to both of these movies. You know, in totally different ways, each of these movies capture something very special and unique, and on their own would create a very memorable and all-time great experience at the movies. And yet we are fortunate enough to have them both at the same time. We are all truly Michael Shannon at Criterion.
Wow, this has just been such a pleasure. I'm such a lucky boy. I can't wait to go home.
So like I said, the first movie I went to go see was Barbie, and this movie was interesting. It really pains me to say that I did not love Barbie on my first watch. I loved many things in it, but as a whole, this just really felt like a mess. It's not the end, it's the journey. Or at least that's the idea. And I feel like Barbie was kind of the opposite. I feel like after the first 20, 30 minutes in Barbie Land, which I was eating up every single second of, I loved every single thing about this. It was hilarious. The cast were amazing. I loved everything about it. It was Barbie-tastic. I loved it. And then we get to the real world. And this is where the movie really started to lose me. And I don't think it ever really recovered from. The tone felt all over the place. The real world was dark and gritty, but then the Mattel office was very cartoony. And maybe that was the idea. You know, again, like if that was what Gerwig was going after, if that was the point, you know, to have it be, you know, Mattel's kind of like this bridge between two worlds of like real world and fantasy, then great. Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's nothing I'm gonna hold against the movie. That's just something I noticed that was odd. But no, the real problem I had was just like from the real world on, it's like the humor fell off, and it just felt like there was a desperate race to get to the end. And to make a very apt comparison, the exact opposite is true with Oppenheimer. With Oppenheimer, I forgot there even was a bomb. And what I mean by that is I was just so invested in this man's life, the journey, that I didn't want to get to the bomb because that meant the movie was over. Turns out it wasn't. There was still another hour left after the bomb, but you get what I'm saying. But with Barbie, it just felt like there was this desperate race to get to the end. Whereas I just wanted to sit in the journey and enjoy it more. I wish when they went to like our reality, they had stayed there a little bit more. They had gotten invested in it a little bit more. You know, Ken runs and gets some books in the library. You know, Barbie, you know, has the bad experience in school. I wish like maybe there had been, you know, an extra chapter where they went back to that lady's house and then like, you know, stay with their family, or, you know, just got invested in the real world a little bit. I don't know. I'm not a writer. I'm not saying any of these things are good ideas. I'm just saying it felt empty. It felt like my hype was at an all-time high watching the beginning of this movie, loving everything about it. It's just ultra color, ultra fun, ultra feminist, like everything you expect from this movie, it was delivering on in the first 20 minutes, and it was amazing. And then the movie just fell off a cliff for me. It couldn't get it back. I liked a lot of the ending. I mean, there was a lot of things I really liked about this movie. I think that's the main thing I want to drive at here. There is a lot I loved about this movie, all throughout the movie, but I do not love this movie. I liked this movie. The best description I can give that my mom and I gave to each other as we were sprinting from Barbie into Oppenheimer was that this movie reminded us of The Flash. That is not a great comparison to have made about a movie. To us, that was not a compliment. When walking out of The Flash, the first thing my mom said is, wow, they sure threw everything at the wall on that one. And that is how we both felt with this. And the fact that this movie was in development for 10 years is kind of a testament to that. This movie feels like a movie that was in development for 10 years. It felt like there was 10 years worth of ideas packed into a 2-hour movie. Because I feel like you could have made an entire movie within the first 20 minutes. I feel like you could have had the entire story about Ken finding himself, you know, the patriarchy and all that stuff. You could have kept all that in Barbie land, or at least in Barbie realms. You could have kept that vibe to the movie and it would have made it be a little bit more magical, a little more fun. Or you could have gone in the other direction. I don't know. It just felt like a lot of different concepts all viciously connected together, and it just did not work for me. The worst offender of this to me was Will Ferrell. I thought he was horrendous in this. Pretty much the entire Mattel crew. I just didn't think they added to anything. Their whole purpose was just to chase Barbie. None of it made any sense. None of it was really funny or enjoyable. I didn't care for him at all. What worked in this movie was Barbie and Ken. Well, I guess I should say the Barbies and Kens, because they were all fantastic. I thought the whole cast was just great in this, and I wanted more of that. I wanted it to sit in that more. I wanted to experience that more, and I feel like we just got a taste of what this movie could have been. All that being said, this is without a doubt a movie I am going to be watching again at my earliest convenience. I'm definitely going to be, maybe even again in theaters, especially when it comes to digital. I'm definitely going to be watching it again because I think this movie will get better with multiple viewings. You know, a lot of people say that's, you know, not a good thing to have, but for a movie like this, where I was walking into having virtually no clue what I was about to be in for. With Oppenheimer, I knew I was walking into a 3-hour-long conversation with a 30-second bit where a bomb blows up. I knew what I was getting, and that's exactly what I got. With Barbie, I had virtually no clue what I was walking into. Was this going to be a comedy? Was this going to be an existential drama like people were talking about? You know, obviously not only one of those things, but like I was not prepared for this movie. I didn't know what to expect. And the first 20 minutes set my expectations for what this movie was going to be, and then the remainder of the movie was just kind of a mismatch of a lot of other things, and it was confusing. It was hard to keep up with. That's why I say with this movie, I think I will enjoy it a lot more the second time, because I know what to expect. I know what kind of movie it is, and I'll be able to digest it a little bit more. Also, the girl next to me was on her phone and talking pretty much the entire movie, but I can't get mad at that. I was the odd man out here. I was an adult man dressed in bright blue watching Barbie with his mom in the theater on a Thursday afternoon. So if I learned anything from this movie, I was the one who was out of place. I should respect and understand my position there. Okay, but Oppenheimer was a masterpiece. Every second of this movie was a masterpiece. Just to start with a negative, because I only have one and it's not even really a negative, is just the pacing right when the movie started. And again, this is not a negative because looking back on it, I love it. But in the moment, it was very breakneck. In the moment, it felt like I was watching a trailer almost, because it was just cutting it so fast back and forth to do the early life of Oppenheimer and cutting to the end and all this stuff. It was a lot to take in. That settles down very quickly, and then it becomes very palatable. The whole movie moves at a very breakneck pace, but you get used to it almost instantly. And looking back on it, like I kind of like that mad dash through the, you know, the less important bits to get to the big bits. But that is the only thing I was slightly on the fence of when I was watching it. But every other second frame, bit of dialogue in this movie was perfect. I cannot believe what I just watched. This was so good. Blown away. Absolutely blown away. Cillian Murphy deserves the Oscar. He was phenomenal. But even more so, RDJ deserves the Oscar for this, for supporting actor. He was so phenomenal. The testament to the fact that all these people were phenomenal is that I've kept forgetting they were in these movies. Like, for instance, like I forgot this was Cillian Murphy. I was just watching J. Robert Oppenheimer. I forgot it was RDJ. I was just watching, you know, whatever that senator's name was. All of which is true except for Matt Damon. But as I've said before on this channel, I just have an eternal problem when it comes to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in movies. I only ever see them. For some reason, I just cannot disconnect them from their characters. Anytime Cillian Murphy would be on screen, I would be like, that's Oppenheimer. And then Matt Damon would pop up and I'd be like, that is Matt Damon. But that's not the movie's issue. That's just a me issue. But again, he was phenomenal in this. He was really, really good. Held his own. He was great. You know, would not have recast him. That's just a me issue. I feel like every character got their moment to shine. Maybe not so much Florence Pugh, but she's the only one really that comes to mind who didn't really have a big shining moment. But everyone was utilized in this, even the background actors. Like the fact that, you know, you're just watching it and then boom, A-list actor pops up in a side role. You're like, holy shit, this guy's just showing up as like cameos now? That's insane. I'm not gonna say who, because it was kind of enjoyable to, you know, to see these people pop up as you watch the movie, because a lot of these people I didn't know were going to be in this movie, and it was really surprising and it was very enjoyable. But yeah, if you had any inkling of interest to go see Oppenheimer, I beg you to do it, and do it on the biggest screen possible. Drive, if you have to, a long distance to get to an IMAX screen. And I'm not asking you to do something I'm not doing myself. Actually, later on in August, I think it's the last week that Oppenheimer is in theaters, my wife and I are driving 3 hours in the car to the nearest 70mm IMAX screen. And after seeing this movie in just, you know, regular old digital IMAX, I am beyond excited to see what this movie will look like with 70mm film. I can't even comprehend how beautiful that's gonna look. Now, the last thing I want to mention, and this is something a lot of other people are talking about, and I think it's really being blown out of proportion, is the sex scenes in this movie. A first for Christopher Nolan. He's never had sex scenes before, and a lot of people were saying they were very awkward, very weird, very uniquely shot. I don't agree. I don't agree. I mean, I will say the first sex scene really caught me off guard, but it had nothing to do with the sex. It had to do with what was happening in the scene. And once you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. First thing we talked about when getting into the car regarding Oppenheimer was, there is no way that's how that actually happened. Like, there is no conceivable way that happened. That has to be a Hollywood writer coming up with that, because there is no way that's what actually happened. But then again, it's crazy enough that you wouldn't do that unless it actually did happen. So I'm very curious to hear the commentary for that section in particular, because I'm just beyond curious to know if that's how that actually happened. But I thought the sex scenes in this were really well done. I thought they were very well utilized, especially the second one. It was so well crafted into the story. It just aided and helped you feel the discomfort and the pain. It was phenomenal. So I don't get why people are, you know, losing their minds over the sex scenes. They didn't feel awkward. They didn't feel weird to me at all. They felt perfectly balanced, perfectly shot, tastefully done, I thought. But yeah, I would encourage you to go see both of these films. I think both of these are worth seeing on the big screen without a doubt. Oppenheimer is one I will be going back to see again. Might not go back to see Barbie again, but regardless, I had a blast going to see both these movies back to back. I was really surprised how fast the time actually flew by. 6 hours in the cinema felt like nothing. So if you're thinking about going to see them, I dare you, go see both of them in the same day. Go see both of them in the same theater. Go nuts. And if you do go to see them back to back, let me know your thoughts. Let me know which one you enjoyed more. I think there is so much discussion to be had with both of these films, so I'm really excited to start a conversation in the comments and hear how you all enjoyed your Barbenheimer experience.
Bobby Oppenheimer, is that you? Get your country ass over here. My mama told me you're making a bomb as big as a damn bus. How about instead of making a bomb, you make yourself some damn dinner, you string bean? Atom bomb, huh? Just like the original man himself from the book of Genesis. You met President Roosevelt, huh? You tell me, how does he get his bottom half to look like a little bicycle like that? Was he born that way, like a centaur? You call it an atomic bomb, even though its energy comes from a fission reaction. That seems to be something of a misnomer, correct? As it gets all of its energy from the nucleus of the atom, making it more of a fusion weapon? You're gonna do what with it? Bobby, does your mama know about that? If I know Anne-Marie Oppenheimer, she's gonna paint your back porch red. Boy, she's gonna tan your hide. I'm gonna make you eat a big old plate of grits.